First contact and defiance. The observation vessel Vigilant drifted silently at the edge of Sol's heliosphere, its adaptive hull absorbing all radiation, rendering it practically invisible to Earth's primitive detection systems. Commander Sarai of the Galactic Concorde stood motionless, all four arms clasped behind his back as he studied the holographic display of the blue-green world. Another status report from the monitoring stations, his second-in-command, Telix, announced. The humans have improved their propulsion systems again. Efficiency increased by 12% in only 8 solar cycles. Hilroy's upper eye ridges twitched with concern. That makes the fourth significant advancement this stellar quarter alone. The Concorde was right to increase surveillance. The Galactic Concorde, an alliance of 27 spacefaring civilizations, had strict protocols for monitoring pre-FTL species. Most required only passive observation every few decades. Earth, however, had warranted continuous scrutiny for the past century. Commander, Telix's voice dropped to a concerned whisper. Perhaps we should recommend containment measures before they achieve jump capability. Aurora turned all 6 of his eyes toward his subordinate. The Concorde Council would never approve preemptive action. The Accords are clear. The Accords didn't anticipate a species like this. Telix gestured toward the display. Look at their development curve. They've gone from atmospheric flight to lunar colonies in less than 2 centuries. Their weapons technology advances even faster. Havdarak couldn't disagree. Humans were an anomaly, remarkably adaptive, disturbingly ingenious, and possessing an almost pathological drive to push boundaries. Most concerning was their fractious nature. Unlike every other spacefaring race, humans had never achieved planetary unification, yet continued to advance technologically despite their constant conflicts, or perhaps because of them. Continue observation, Karai ordered. We follow protocols. 3 months later, those protocols became irrelevant. Dr. Elena Vasquez stared in disbelief at the readings from the Pathfinder sensors. The experimental vessel had just completed humanity's first successful FTL jump, traveling from Earth orbit to just beyond Neptune in an instant. Confirming position, she announced to the bridge crew, her voice tight with controlled excitement. Jump successful. We're exactly where we should be. Captain Marcus Chen allowed himself a brief smile before returning to his professional demeanor. Begin systems check. Prepare for return jump once diagnostics are complete. The bridge crew of 6, representing 4 different nations, worked with practiced efficiency. The Pathfinder was humanity's greatest collaborative achievement, the culmination of decades of international research. Captain, the sensor officer called out, I'm detecting an object approaching at high velocity. Chen frowned. Nothing should be out here. Natural body. Negative. Sir, it's decelerating. Changing course toward us. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Open all communication channels, Chen ordered. Standard greeting package. Minutes passed with mounting tension. No response, sir. Object continuing approach. Now detecting energy signatures, unlike anything in our database. Chen's military training took over. Defensive posture. Bring up shields. Prepare jump drive for emergency return. Captain. Elena cut in. If that's what I think it is. This is first contact. We should. The Pathfinder rocked violently as something struck its hull. Direct hit. The tactical officer shouted. Shield capacity at 60% and falling. Jump drive charging. Another crew member reported. 30 seconds to readiness. Chen gripped his command chair. Continue hails on all frequencies. Another impact shook the ship. Warning lights flooded the bridge. Hull breach on deck 3. Jump drive damage. Chen made his decision. Launch the emergency beacon. Full data package. Set coordinates for Earth. As the small, FTL-capable beacon detached from the Pathfinder, the alien vessel fired again. The human ship's reactor containment failed, and the Pathfinder vanished in a brief, brilliant flash that momentarily outshone Neptune's reflection. The alien commander, believing all evidence destroyed, returned to the Concorde outpost to report the successful prevention of human expansion beyond their solar system. Neither the alien commander nor anyone in the Concorde realized that the Pathfinder's emergency beacon had escaped. 3 weeks later, United Nations Secretary-General Amara Okafor stood before the emergency session of the General Assembly, her face grim. "The data is conclusive," she stated, her voice echoing through the silent chamber. The Pathfinder was deliberately destroyed by an extraterrestrial vessel. "We are not alone in the universe, and our first contact has been hostile." The chamber erupted into chaos as delegates shouted questions and demands. Okafor raised her hands for silence. "We have recovered the vessel's sensor data, including detailed scans of the alien craft. We know their weapons capabilities. We know their shield frequencies." She paused. "Most importantly, we know they're still out there, watching us." The room fell silent again. Humanity stands at a crossroads. We have confirmed the existence of advanced alien civilizations, and we have confirmed they view us as a threat to be contained or eliminated. Okafor's voice hardened. "I hereby propose the formation of a unified Earth Defense Force, pooling all our resources, technologies, and military capabilities." For the first time in human history, the vote was unanimous. Admiral Wei Liang inspected the massive construction taking place in Earth orbit. What had been the International Space Station was now the command hub for humanity's growing defense fleet. Shipyards stretched for kilometers, building vessels that incorporated the best of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien technology gleaned from the Pathfinder's brief encounter. "How many ships ready for deployment?" Wei asked his aide. 42 combat-ready vessels. "Admiral, another 38 in final assembly." We nodded. In just 18 months, humanity had achieved what should have taken decades. Nothing united people like a common enemy. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the lone survivor of the Pathfinder's crew thanks to a last-minute reassignment, approached with a tablet in hand. "Admiral, we've completed testing on the phase shift technology," she reported. "It works. Our ships can temporarily shift out of normal spacetime, just enough to bypass their shield frequencies." Wei studied the data. "Can they detect this phase shift?" "Not based on what we know of their sensor capabilities from the Pathfinder data. It's a temporary advantage, but significant." "And the FTL jammers?" Elena's expression tightened. "Theoretical success, but untested against actual alien technology." Wei considered this. Earth's defense strategy wasn't about matching the aliens technologically, an impossible task given their head start, but about exploiting specific weaknesses and leveraging humanity's unique advantages. Adaptability, unpredictability, and desperate innovation. "Begin installation on the first strike fleet," he ordered. "We move as soon as the flagship Defiance is ready." As Wei turned to leave, Elena asked the question everyone had been avoiding. "Admiral, what if there are more of them than we anticipate? What if this first species is just one of many?" Wei's expression remained calm. "Then we make sure our first strike is so decisive that any others will think twice before treating humans as prey." Captain Diana Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's first purpose-built war vessel. At just over a kilometer long, bristling with weapons, and housing a crew of 500, it represented the pinnacle of human military engineering. "Strike fleet assembled and reporting ready, Captain," her XO announced. Diana nodded. "Commence final systems check. Prepare for departure on my mark." The first strike fleet consisted of 12 vessels, small by the standards they expected from the alien forces, but each incorporating technology specifically designed to counter what they knew of the enemy. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command," the communications officer reported. Admiral Wei's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Rodriguez, you understand the gravity of this mission." "Yes, Admiral. We will secure the outer system and destroy any alien observation posts." Earth will no longer be caged. We nodded. The fate of our species rests on your success. While you engage their forces in the outer system, our deep space probes have detected a larger alien installation at Proxima Centauri. Once you've secured Sol, you're to proceed there and gather intelligence, but do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Understood, Admiral. We'll show them humanity won't be contained. Wei's expression remained solemn. Good hunting, Captain. Earth stands with you. As the transmission ended, Diana turned to her crew. Battle stations. Prepare for FTL jump to Neptune's orbit. The Defiance and its escort ships vanished in flashes of light, humanity's first deliberate step into interstellar war. At the edge of the solar system, 3 Concorde observation vessels detected the energy surges too late. Before they could react, 12 human warships materialized in perfect attack formation. Unknown vessels detected. The Concorde sensor operator shouted, "Configuration. Impossible. They're human." Commander Sarai stared in disbelief at the tactical display. Impossible. They can't have FTL capability yet. Our containment. They're launching weapons. The tactical officer interrupted. Energy signatures unknown. All right. Made a quick decision. Evasive maneuvers. Contact the Concorde fleet immediately. But the human vessel's first salvo had targeted their communications array with shocking precision. As Sarai watched in horror, the human ships executed a maneuver that briefly made them appear to phase out of normal space before reappearing inside his vessel's defensive perimeter. The last thing Sarai saw before his ship's reactor breached was the name emblazoned on the human flagship: Defiance. The counterattack and revelation. Grand Admiral Zevrax of the Galactic Concorde stood before the Emergency Council, his normally iridescent scales dulled with stress. Representatives from all 27 member species sat in stunned silence as he completed his report. All 3 observation posts in the Sol system destroyed. No survivors. The human vessels demonstrated technology we believed to be centuries beyond their capability, including some innovations our own scientists considered theoretical at best. High Chancellor Morix, the eldest of the Council, leaned forward. Are you suggesting these primates have developed technology that surpasses our own? Not broadly, no, Zevrax clarified. Their vessels are still inferior in most respects, but they've developed highly specialized countermeasures precisely tailored to our weaknesses. Somehow, they knew exactly what to target and how. Councillor Drax, representing the warrior Varg species, growled. Impossible without prior knowledge of our technology. There must have been a breach of containment before this. The destruction of the human prototype vessel was complete, Zevrax insisted. No data could have survived. A murmur ran through the council as the implications became clear. Humans had not only achieved FTL travel far ahead of projections, but had also managed to gather critical intelligence about Concorde defenses from an encounter that lasted less than 6 minutes. We underestimated them, Councillor Thela said softly. Her species, the Eridani, had the most extensive experience with tenopsychology. Their historical records warned us. Under threat, humans achieve what should be impossible. High Chancellor Morix's expression darkened. What of the Proxima Centauri outpost? Still secure, Zevrax reported. We've tripled its defenses and deploy a full battle group. If the humans attempt to push beyond their system, they'll meet overwhelming force. They must be contained, Morix declared. The safety of the Concorde depends on it. Captain Diana Rodriguez studied the holographic display of the Proxima Centauri system, where a massive alien installation orbited the system's habitable planet. The intelligence gathered from the destroyed observation posts had been invaluable, revealing not only technical specifications, but also the existence of something called the Galactic Concorde, an alliance of multiple alien species. They've reinforced heavily, her XO noted. A full battle group, at least 30 capital ships. Diana nodded. As expected. Prepare a tight beam transmission to Earth Command. We need reinforcements before proceeding. 3 days later, the Defiance detected multiple FTL signatures approaching from Sol. Admiral Wei himself had arrived with 20 additional warships, including the newly completed dreadnought Retribution. Captain Rodriguez, Wei greeted as he came aboard the Defiance. Excellent work clearing Sol. Now we face a greater challenge. In the tactical room, Diana and her officers briefed Y on the Proxima Centauri situation. Their numbers are overwhelming, Diana admitted. Even with our phase shift technology, a direct assault would be suicide. Wei smiled thinly. Then we won't assault directly. Dr. Vasquez, please explain our newest advantage. Elena stepped forward. We analyzed the quantum communication technology recovered from the destroyed alien vessels. They use an instantaneous network we've dubbed QNet to coordinate fleet movements. We can't decode it fully, but she paused, allowing herself a small smile. We can jam it. For how long? Diana asked. 3 minutes, maybe 4 before they adapt. But during those minutes, their fleet will be in disarray, unable to coordinate. We nodded. Enough time for a surgical strike at their command structure. We don't need to destroy their fleet, just decapitate it. The plan was set. The human fleet would split into 3 groups, 1 to deploy the jammers, 1 to target the command vessels, and a 3rd to provide covering fire and extraction. Remember, Wei told his commanders, this is not about winning a conventional battle. This is about sending a message. Humanity will not be caged. Grand Admiral Zevrak stood on the command deck of the Concorde flagship Eternal Vigilance, overseeing the defense of the Proxima Centauri outpost. The massive installation below served not only as a military base, but also as the Concorde's primary xenobiological research facility. Admiral, his aide reported, long-range sensors detect multiple FTL signatures approaching. Configuration matches the human vessels from the Sol incident. Zevrax bared his teeth in anticipation. So they've come. Deploy the fleet in standard defense formation. Prepare to engage as soon as they exit FTL. The human fleet materialized at the edge of the system, well outside normal weapon range. Zevrax was surprised at their caution. The reports had suggested humans were recklessly aggressive. They're holding position, Admiral, his tactical officer reported. No weapons charged yet. Zevrax frowned. What are they waiting for? His answer came moments later as every communication system on his ship simultaneously failed. The tactical display showing his carefully coordinated fleet dissolved into static. QNet disruption. His communications officer shouted. All quantum channels jammed. Before Zevrax could issue orders via conventional means, 3 human vessels suddenly phased into existence directly alongside his flagship. He had time only to glimpse the named Defiance before the first explosions rocked his ship. Admiral Wei watched from the Retribution as the operation unfolded. The jamming was working perfectly. The alien fleet, suddenly unable to coordinate, had broken into disorganized defensive clusters. Assault team reports successful boarding of enemy flagship, his communications officer announced. They've secured the command deck. We nodded. Tell Captain Rodriguez to execute Phase 2. On the alien flagship, Diana and her strike team had overcome the initial resistance. The alien commander, a tall, reptilian being, stood surrounded by human soldiers. English, Diana demanded. We know your species maintains linguistic databases on all monitored worlds. The alien's translator activated. I am Grand Admiral Zevrax of the Galactic Concorde. This act of aggression will bring the full might of 27 civilizations down upon your world. Diana smiled coldly. Is that why you destroyed our first FTL ship? Fear of what might happen if humanity joined your Concorde. Zevrax's scales rippled with emotion. Your species was deemed too dangerous for unrestricted space travel. The Concorde has protocols. Protocols that involve murdering innocent explorers, Diana interrupted. Establishing a blockade around a sovereign world. You fired first, Admiral. You don't understand, Zevrax insisted. Humanity's development path is unprecedented. Your technological advancement coupled with your aggression. A massive explosion interrupted him as the research facility on the planet below erupted in flames. Phase 2 complete, Diana's comm officer reported. Dr. Vasquez confirms data extraction successful before demolition. Diana turned back to Zevrax. We've downloaded your research data. We know what you've been studying. The alien admiral's eyes widened in genuine fear. 1 month later, representatives from Earth met with the Galactic Concord Council aboard a neutral station. Admiral Way and Dr. Vasquez faced High Chancellor Morix across a circular table. The terms are not negotiable, Way stated. The quarantine of Sol ends immediately. Humanity will have unrestricted access to interstellar space. Any further aggressive action against Earth or human interests will trigger immediate retaliation. Morix's aged features contorted in frustration. You must understand our position. The data from your genetic analysis is conclusive. Your species shows evidence of directed evolution, the same patterns we've seen only in the remnants of the precursor civilization. Elena leaned forward. The same precursors whose technology you've been struggling to understand for millennia. The same precursors who mysteriously vanished after apparently creating several successor species. Precisely why humanity must be contained. Morix insisted. If you are indeed their inheritors, as the genetic markers suggest, your species could destabilize the entire galactic order. Way's expression remained impassive. That's a risk you'll have to accept. We've distributed our new technologies to installations throughout our system. Any attempt to strike Earth will trigger an automated response targeting every Concord homeworld. Morix looked to Zevrax, who nodded grimly. Their phase shift technology would render our defensive systems ineffective. We cannot guarantee interception. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. In less than 2 years, humanity had gone from a contained pre-FTL civilization to a serious interstellar threat. We accept your terms, Morix finally said, but we propose an addition. Membership in the Concord. If you are to join the galactic community, better as partners than adversaries. Way exchanged a glance with Elena before responding. We'll consider your offer. In the meantime, we expect all blockade forces to withdraw immediately. As the human delegation departed, Counselor Thela approached Morix privately. You realize what this means? She asked quietly. The precursor prophecies spoke of a final inheritor species that would either unify the galaxy or reduce it to ash. Morix's gaze remained fixed on the departing humans. I know. That's precisely why I offered them membership. Better to guide them than oppose them. And if they discover the full extent of their heritage, the precursor weaponry we've kept hidden. Then, Morix said grimly, we pray they prove worthy of it. Aboard their vessel returning to Earth, Admiral Way reviewed the data Elena had extracted from the alien research facility. They've been studying us for centuries, Elena explained, trying to understand why humans exhibit certain genetic markers previously found only in artifacts from an ancient species they call precursors. These precursors built the Concord? Way asked. Elena shook her head. No. From what I can piece together, the precursors were a highly advanced civilization that disappeared about 50,000 years ago. The Concord species evolved afterward, finding and adapting precursor technology rather than developing their own. Way considered this, and they believe humans are somehow, what? Descendants, creations, inheritors, Elena corrected. Their xenorchaeologists have found references to a final inheritor species in precursor records. They've been terrified of us because we match the profile, adaptable, aggressive, innovative, and with specific genetic markers they don't fully understand. We stared out at the stars, so we didn't earn their fear. We were born with it. We earned it by proving them right, Elena said softly. But now we have an opportunity. The Concord has technologies we haven't imagined, and we have an innovative drive they've lost. Together, we could unlock the full legacy of these precursors, way finished, whatever that may be. As Earth came into view, glowing blue and green against the void, Y made his decision. Humanity would join this galactic concord, not as suppliants, but as equals. And if the aliens' fears proved justified, if humans were indeed the inheritors of some ancient power, then the galaxy would simply have to adapt, just as humanity always had.